Good afternoon. As Chief Munoz stated at 2:52, the call came in for a motor vehicle accident. Sometimes this happens, and when folks get on scene, crews get on scene, we upgrade based on the needs. There they saw there was a Metro bus, there was going to be a complex extrication. They upgraded it to what we call as a heavy box. When that happened, we had approximately 30 to 32 personnel that arrived. They did not call for an MCI, which was a mass casualty incident, because a lot of it did appear to be some of the walking wounded that seemed to be okay. So when the chief assessed it, we started calling for our resources. We had approximately 6 ambulances and approximately 5 to 6 heavy apparatus at some point that were on the scene. This type of incident would require the EMS supervisors, and you see a heavy representation of our EMS supervisors, our senior captains, and to handle our medical, and our district chief to handle our medical demands. What they mainly do is coordinate between the hospitals and all the transport units they have to go. We can't just send a cluster of patients to those hospitals, so they help with that coordination. And the DCs and the shift commanders on scene help coordinate all that, get with the DOT, get with OEM. OEM is the Office of Emergency Management, to make sure that we can restore traffic back to the freeways again. So as you see right now, the Metro bus is still on the embankment. It's still safe. We just got word from the DOT that they're going to cut the embankment, and they're going to try to get the Metro bus heading down, and then get it lifted and get it out so they can get the 59 back to its normal traffic flow. Outside of that, there was 14 patients. One that just got extricated about 20 minutes ago. We did have one that was considered critical, and my understanding went to Midtown Hospital. So the rest we would consider to be relatively moderate to minor, and one that we absolutely know was critical. So after, without any questions, I'm gonna turn it over to EMS to give a little bit more details. They're not gonna be able to share a whole lot of other details other than that, but you can ask them any questions. I have Chief Phillips and Chief Sky Eagle that are available for any questions.
Hi, do we have any immediate questions about EMS? Typical blunt trauma injuries, yeah, lacerations, things like that. Maybe a broken bone or two. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 14 injuries, 15 transported? This is our transport head.
14 patients transported and one that refused transport. All of them were, there's only like a few critical, maybe 1 or 2. The rest were all moderate to minor. All transported mainly into the medical center.
And how many, was that everyone that was on the bus? Was anyone on the bus not injured?
Right, so the bus came into contact with another vehicle, and that person that was driving that vehicle was transported to the hospital as well. So, and then the people that were on the bus.
So it's 14 people on the bus?
14 total transports, including the car or the vehicle that came contact with.
There was one person who was 15, one did refuse.
So everyone on the bus was injured?
One refused, 14 were transported.
Yeah, so there are 14 people on the bus.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
There were 15 on the bus.
With the driver. Yep.
You want to talk about just the rescue itself, just, you know, a bus on its side, just kind of what y'all are doing to get everyone out, and just kind of explain how complex that is.
So the chief would have identified that this is a complex type of rescue. With a Metro bus, there's a lot of dangers that go along with a Metro bus, with the fuel, the electrical system, some of the hydraulics. Once we get our rescue team in place, the rescue team is well versed in many of those extrication challenges. So once our rescue leadership got here, they set up a rescue group, a rescue division, and they were responsible for all aspects of the rescue itself. The incident commander is in charge of the scene itself, and the EMS units are in charge of the medical side of it. So it's all coordinated by the district chief. Once the shift commander gets on scene, like myself, we would just make sure that all things are working in unison in some sort of unified command. So what made this kind of complex is that you have a rescue of a high amount of people, 14 people. It's complicated. This last one took about 45 minutes to extricate. It was considered not life critical, so they were able to pace themselves and make sure they got extricated in the most efficient manner possible. But usually the rescue team identifies their own safety, and they're the ones who slowly, methodically make openings to get the people out. But a lot of them had either self-extricated or were assisted in being extricated. being removed from the ambulance. From the unit.
Was that last person the bus driver or passenger that was?
I do not believe it was the bus driver. My understanding, it was a lady, a passenger, that was needed to be, special removal of some of the entrapments. Any details that I missed you'd like to share?
You got it all.
And even with the setup of the bus, I was thinking this earlier. They said that the engine is like on the back of the bus.
Correct.
And you can't just get people out. So the only way was really kind of through the front. And then obviously it's like.
Yes. In this particular bus, usually there's two openings. Depending, as you can see, it's on its side. So what ends up happening, the rescue team has to make a breach. That breach is where, like the last patient that came out, it came through a breach where we got the last patient through an opening created by the rescue team. So the buses are configured in some very unique ways. Fortunately for us, we have some technical experts in rescue, and they're very familiar with and the training that they do with Metro.
I've got Captain Gordon here who can speak to that.
So I have one of the rescue officers on scene. He can speak a little to the details and the challenges that they had. Captain Gordon.
Hello, how you doing? I'm Captain Gordon on Rescue 42 Alpha. Is there any questions that you would like me to entertain first? Or?
Just talking about the rescue, so y'all were having to breach through the front window, where are y'all trying to break into to get everyone out?
This was a very difficult rescue. This is one of the rescues that was very challenging, and we make these all the time, but this was one of the more difficult rescues that we had to deal with. The driver was pinned in there really good, and it was involving structural aspects of the bus that had her trapped. So we had to defeat those structural components of the vehicle to get her leg out and get her out. So yeah, it was a very tedious rescue, and I'm glad we got it done and get her home to her family.
I guess the people that were on board, how were they? I mean, what are they saying? Their reactions to the situation?
Most of the people were out of the vehicle. The pedestrians or passengers of the vehicle were out when we got here, and Heavy Rescue 11 was attending to the driver. When we made location, we were able to get in there and stabilize the vehicle first so that it doesn't move any further and injure anyone else while we were cutting on the vehicle. So once we got that established, we were able to concentrate on the victim inside of the bus and removing those components. Like I said, we used Jaws of Life and almost every cutting tool that we had so that we can remove those elements to get her leg out and free her.
So that was the driver that came out?
Yes, it was the driver. It was the driver, and when it appeared that when the van impacted the Jersey barrier, that she fell over into a pinch point, and like I said, once it made that secondary impact, it collapsed onto her leg, and she was trapped for, I don't know what our time was for the actual extrication, but it was, like I said, it was one of the more difficult extrications that we've dealt with.
She expected to be okay.
Like that's up to the hospital and whatever her conditions present. I can't speculate on that. We did everything we could to stabilize her medically before we pulled her out, so hopefully she'll make a full recovery.
Pretty amazing how this happened, and it seemed like she was moving and talking as y'all bringing her out.
She was in great pain, and we were doing everything to try to comfort her. But, we had to get her out, and that was the most important thing. So it was very uncomfortable for her, but we were able to get her out, and hopefully, like I said, she'll make a full recovery.
Make sure we're not getting too specific on her medical stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Have you ever seen, I've never seen anything. I'm sure y'all have seen a lot of different things in your time, but a bus in this state.
Well, we've made some very good. Houston has one of the oldest technical rescue trucks in the state. We established a technical rescue element long before anyone else did. So through trial and error, we have perfected what we do and how we do it. So they had a bunch of professional guys out here, trying to mitigate this incident. And I'll put our rescue team up against anyone in the country, and I feel like we did a good job. Any more questions?
I guess one more thing, I'm sorry.
Okay.
As far as the investigation into the cause of the crash, Metro, right? They're going to be the ones that kind of give us that information about.
Yeah, I can't speculate on that
Right.
now.
Yeah.
But y'all have a great day. And glad I could answer some questions.